With the development of new technologies that use natural resources more efficiently, the overall consumption of those resources might be expected to decrease. Even though it's not part of the blank sentence, I'm still going to show you subject is consumption and the verb is might be expected, including helping verb. Okay, so consumption might expected to decrease. Economists have observed that subject and verb. Now we have a dependent clause that improvement. Okay, so I'll use a different color for that. Improvement and efficiency often correlate verb negatively with resource conservation. Efficiency gains, lowering the cost of use may increase. Okay, so I'll first mark the subject of the next part. Gains, subject. The lowering the cost of use is simply the participial phrase that describes gains. And we have verb here. May increase the demand, object. To the extent that resource consumption may rises. And that will be the dependent clause where you have consumption rises. Okay, so we're going to have to end this clause somewhere here. And the question is, are we going to include like this, like we see in choice C, or choice in B? Well, we don't really see those clause ending. So after that, everyone can eliminate choice A and D. We clearly saw subject and verb clause, and then we see another subject and verb here. So we're gonna result a comma splice in choice A and comma splice again. And also placing this though will be confusing whether it's contrasting the first part of the second sentence or the second part when you just have comma before and after. When you say comma and though, that makes the entire second sentence to be dependent clause, and that's not correct here because we got dependent clause and we got another dependent clause. Okay, it's gonna make very confusing. Okay, I told you we already have dependent clause here, and then you have another dependent clause. Again, it's really ambiguous. But choice B and C, this clearly marks the boundary between two independent clauses. However, the word though is a contrast signal. It's a contrast transition word that need to be placed correctly. If you read the first sentence, it said the consumption might be expected to decrease. But then in the first part of the second sentence, it says the improvement in efficiency correlates negatively with the resource conservation, however, or though. So we have to reject or we have to counter the previous claim in the first part of the second sentence so that we explain that efficiency gains may increase demand. So instead of increasing the conservation, it's actually not. So we have to say contrast signal first, separate the independent clause, and start a new sentence or new clause that further explains it. So the correct answer should be C. And choice C is illogical placement of the transitional word though. Even though it solved the set boundary issues of two independent clauses. Yep, C is the answer, everyone.